Architectural and engineering firm CEOs, I'm going to show you how to add 10% revenue throughput with existing staff within 3 to 6 months. I'm going to give you 4 specific strategies you can implement today, so stay tuned. Consistent growth and great profitability are more essential now than ever, with economic uncertainty looming and growing staff shortages that have plagued the industry for some time. I'm going to show you what you need to do as CEO and what to delegate to your CIO to accelerate revenue throughput by 10% or more. So why should the CEO care about IT strategy? When technology is applied to value creation, work gets done faster with less effort and less risk. This extends directly from the business strategy. After working with me, a consulting engineering firm increased top-line revenues by 10% within 6 months. Plus, they went from 11% net profit to 18% net profit. Further, the partners invested $480,000 of their billable time on improving their business while increasing revenue throughput in the firm. They did it without adding staff, without cutting expenses, and without adding any additional technology in that time. This wasn't a one-time event either. Since then, they've grown 22% as a firm year over year. I'm going to show you some of their strategy. So who is this for? Who can use this strategy? If you're a CEO or managing partner of a B2B firm who wants to add 10% revenue throughput with the same staff and grow consistently over the long term by 21% or more year over year and do great work, this is for you. If you're worried about the shortage of skilled workers, keep listening. Are you overwhelmed with overworking top staff while junior staff sit idle? Do you want a customer-focused culture and with consistent job performance for every person? If you're tired of technology that doesn't help you deliver value or suspicious of the more is better technology philosophy and hate burning money on stuff that doesn't work, I'm going to give you some concrete steps to take. If you get excited about the productivity potential of AI, but worry it will make your culture less personal, or worse, the negative impacts of AI, there is hope. This is not for companies that don't want to grow, or if your main problem is you can't get sales. This is for companies who have work and need to do it faster and better. It's for serious businesses that generate consistently great products and services. So the question is, what's the most efficient and quickest way to execute more revenue throughput without adding staff or working more? Firms can rapidly add 10 points if the CEO works on these 4 strategies. Number 1, sequence the workflow to match the technology systems. Number 2, streamline the technology systems. Number 3, standardize tools. And number 4, strategize to scale. Every activity in the business that creates value must use technology to get things done better, faster, with less risk. Unfortunately, most CEOs delegate technology to a back office administrative type function, often just throwing more technology and money at the problem, hoping to find the answer. But without matching the CEO's understanding of how the business creates value with the applied technique and value-creating technology, there is confusion, frustration, and wasted effort throughout the firm. My name is Thomas Dodds, and I graduated with degrees in computer science and physics. I've helped many companies to add 5 to 11% to their bottom line within 3 to 6 months, while building a lasting culture. Companies with up to $80 million in revenue per year. I started SlashBlue to make a better way to create more value with fewer resources using technology. At SlashBlue, we've kept firms productive for 20 years. Firms with great leaders, delightful staff that produce excellent products and services. The architecture and engineering firms we serve have had 21% year-over-year growth the past 10 years. While SlashBlue manages technology for small firms, of course, we also do it for multi-state, multi-location companies with complex businesses and infrastructure with up to 2,000 employees. One $30 million company went from almost $3 million of negative margin to $1 million of positive net margin while working with us. Here are 4 strategies you can implement today to add 10% revenue fast. Number 1, sequence workflow. Build the business with a scorecard to measure results and focus work. How the business creates value must be well understood before any technology investment is made. It's important that you understand as CEO the dynamics of why the value of technology breaks down and why you don't realize it, and how to delegate properly to your CIO. Let's take the technology system for a sales function. A CRM is often purchased without understanding how it connects to the entire value creation chain of the business. Technology is bought based upon best practices, and each department leader wants to get their own without understanding how the whole business model comes together. Worse, the demo makes it look good, but once the technology system is purchased, it doesn't deliver the value hoped for. The business discovers that the technology system doesn't match its business process. Another common problem is that the measures for success for the business process often aren't visible in the technology used. Without matching business value to technology in the system in a visible way, the key activities and results needed for every person to get value get lost. And as they do the work in project management, for example, the team can't see the results they need to deliver in the systems where the work is recorded. They lose sight of the most important things, getting off track, slowing down momentum. Utilization drops because there's more confusion on what to work on next. If quality checkpoints aren't well understood, rework increases, deadlines missed, and profitability erodes. So what can you do instead? The CEO needs to help the CIO map the key activities of value creation to the activities performed within the technology. With a simplified picture of the activities that create value, it simplifies technology planning to match the capabilities of the business with the capabilities of the technology. Then you make the scorecard. The key measures are visible within each technology system. For example, a CRM for sales needs to record the sales activity for your organization, and the result of that activity is, of course, revenue sold. For operations, project management software needs to let you see the work activity that's key that results in revenue recognized for your business model. For finance, your general ledger software needs to let you see invoicing activity and revenue received, of course. You can take this further and map out every step in your process and how it maps the technology needed. This is just a simplified picture. But when the key results from every function are visible in the technology, business performance for every employee can be measured in the system that is used to create value. And we all know that when what gets measured gets done. So here's two common errors to watch out for. First, the activities selected need to cause the results directly or correlate strongly. So you might have two different work activities in your project management software that result in revenue. For example, an hourly billing model, billable time causes revenue to be generated for each hour worked. But for fixed price projects, scope complete can correlate more strongly with revenue recognition. Simplify the business, then simplify the technology to match. Second, the activities and results must be measurable and visible within the technology. If you can't track utilization or revenue generated in your project management software, how do you know you're on track to get results? Now, you might have an executive report in the spreadsheet or an external dashboard using Microsoft Power BI, but the fundamental data is not well understood nor seen in the technology system by the people doing the work. So how do you know the data is accurate? How can employees course correct their work along the way when the insight is only on an executive dashboard and not visible to them as they do the work? This is the role of the CIO in the business, but requires the understanding of the CEO for which activities and which results are essential to creating value in the business model. Many businesses don't simplify their workflow and scorecard before investing in technology. So take sales, for example, again. The primary sales activity, what correlates with sales? If it's outbound calls, how many are needed every day to close revenue and get the results? Both the sales activity and the resulting revenue need to be visible in the CRM system. So by mapping the sequence of activities and results in the business to the technology, you can see measurable results, thus keeping employees generating revenue and on track. This strategy can almost immediately add profit to the business without choosing new technology. Number two, whether because of more technology or just entropy, businesses tend to accumulate technology systems that don't provide value. Enter strategy 2, streamline technology to eliminate distraction for a results-based, result-producing culture. If you have multiple technology systems to do the same work, for example, multiple CRMs or project management systems, the complexity of the business increases and the likelihood of a mistake and rework increases. Quality and consistency of output drops, as well as profitability. So here's a few unique tips. Number one, the CEO must make sure that the entire process is clear for your entire portfolio of products and services. If you have a CRM, project management, finance as separate systems, one needs to output to the other system, and the CEO needs to understand how that happens in order to delegate appropriately to the CIO. If you have an ERP like Oracle, Deltek Vision, or NetSuite, the same thing is required. It's just a little easier because it's all in the same platform. Number 2, diagram the business activities and results from each technology system for every step in the value creation process. So you might have marketing systems and sales systems, simplified here by sales, operations, project management, or finance systems, of course. But you also might have talent management, recruiting, OKR software, scorecard software. When we do this work as CEOs, this activity builds the bridge to the technology, to the CIO for understanding of what's essential. Number 3, eliminate technology systems that are not repeatable and scalable and don't fit, and those that don't enforce quality. For example, if your CRM process requires using spreadsheets and you use it to track your process, track your sales, and create estimates outside of your pipeline and in your CRM, that portion becomes error-prone and more brittle, and you don't have a record of the work in your CRM. The key is to use an Excel spreadsheet to maybe create the estimates if you have a calculator, but use it as a step in the process tracked by the CRM. Make it a tool that's separate from the process but used in the process, and that way you track every activity and result inside the CRM. Keep one system of record for each business offering. With clarity around the systems that create value, you will reduce rework, increase quality, resulting in greater profitability. The same is true for operations, finance, and all your systems. Strategy 3, standardize technology so every employee understands when to use the right technology to use it for the right work. This strategy fixes a major problem today where senior staff are overloaded and junior staff sit idle. Let me explain. In the same way that business systems multiply, technology tools do as well, like email. They tend to proliferate over many years. For example, many companies have added remote work tools like Zoom, Teams, Slack, and even social media to long-standing traditional communication tools like email, text, and phone. Having so many different options and ways to collaborate with your team and customers creates confusion and missed messages. When creating work product, multiple tools to accomplish the same task causes problems as well. For example, if an engineer goes to create a drawing model in AutoCAD when the reusable object libraries already exist in Revit, it can result in inconsistent quality, slower work, or even confusion as to how to do the work well. The same thing applies to an accountant trying to create a new spreadsheet when one already exists or the technology system and general ledger can do the job. Further, what often happens is the technology systems get configured for best practices to allow the greatest flexibility. Use any tool you want, use any system you want, the way you want, but it adds to cognitive load. If one person uses modeling software to get the job done in Revit and another uses a different modeling tool, the results might be different. The quality might be different. So what happens is that senior staff will be able to handle this well, and they can do better with this because of their experience. But using many different approaches saddles them with more work. Here's why. It makes it harder to delegate to junior staff. Junior staff don't know all the approaches and don't have the wisdom and judgment to use all the different tools. Without a standard approach and the minimum bar for junior staff can sit idle trying to decide what to do, which tool to use, not knowing how to use it well, and it compounds the staffing shortage problem. Senior staff get pulled in more and more. With many different tools, employees aren't able to consistently deliver work and value using those systems. Profitability gets dragged down. The cost of this confusion could result in losing up to 20 points of margin, and you can recover that, according to clients we've worked with. Instead of letting the options increase, create a simple diagram of your business process and show which technology to use for each step to create the work, and apply this to your quality checklists. Eliminate the unproductive pathways and the technology that does not produce the value for all staff. The result is simplified technology, straightforward and consistent results from your most essential technology tools. Not only will you avoid confusion, but work will get evened out from junior staff to senior staff more quickly. Instead of having to give guidance on every step and handhold junior staff, senior staff move to managing exceptions in the work, and junior staff have a lot more utilization. Senior staff have a lot more focus. You should be able to increase profitability and employee happiness very quickly by providing clarity. So here's a few unique tips. Number one, the CEO must understand the way that the technology systems and tools influence the repeatable results. Do you want to invest in growing object libraries in the main tool for engineering work like Revit, or let them use anything at any time? Does your team have the required technique and skill to use the technology effectively? Standardize the technology, and you standardize the quality and consistency of results. Further, you simplify the training necessary to onboard and bring your junior staff up to speed to succeed. Number two, you've heard the phrase culture eats strategy for breakfast. Well, technology can establish culture and make the culture go bad very quickly. Understand what kind of culture you want to have and when to use the tools you use. Ask yourself, how does each technology we use support or detract from the culture I want as CEO? Does it help us live out our core values and principles? So do you want people collaborating via chat or email, or via phone or video for a more personal touch? Should your team use email to communicate with your customers, or send communications through a portal or project management software? Should you use Microsoft Teams to assign work to one another, or email, or your project management software? These decisions will impact your principles and your culture. Number three, have your IT staff or managed service provider eliminate the technology that adds complexity. Further, ask them how they will configure the IT systems so people don't use the wrong software at the wrong time. Ask them how they will prevent disruption to value creation. How are staff supported in understanding which tools to use and which not to use to create value? What training is provided for the systems and tools you employ in IT? Unless the understanding of value creation gets to your frontline staff, reinforced by IT configuring the systems and supporting your team, you will not realize the full benefits of this strategy to improve happiness of staff, eliminate frustration, and increase your bottom line. By standardizing technology associated with value creation, you will eliminate the confusion and complexity that's involved with junior and senior staff and support your culture with the right behaviors. The result is senior staff moved from overload to focus, junior staff from idleness and confusion to full utilization. Standardize the technology to add gross margin quickly with happier staff. The fourth strategy, strategize to inject scale, injects significant leverage into the business and could transform the value proposition for greater competitive advantage. Let's consider automation, AI innovation, and scalable architecture. For years, programmers and IT professionals have created integrations between systems one to another. Tools like Zapier have come along to automate repetitive tasks. The thinking goes, automate low-hanging fruit and administrative tasks. Yet adding more and more point integrations can create brittle systems. An automation implemented at the wrong level of work breaks other automations. For example, if the CRM system is changed by someone who does not understand the integration with project management, the automation will break. Add these up over time and you have multiple failures, increasing rework, missed deadlines, and lost profit. Innovation suffers from a similar problem. When choosing to innovate with new systems or AI, we must realize that those systems and AI are not meant to supplant decision-making, but rather to support decisions made with human judgment. If AI makes decisions for us, we can lose the ability to judge for ourselves as we abdicate our decision-making to a machine. Lastly, the technology infrastructure is often not planned for change at scale. If your main tool, such as Revit, changes, and the two engineers who are using it have different versions, the files will not be compatible and will disrupt their work. There's also plays more broadly to all your technology services. When an update or change comes through for any IT service, if it's not planned well, there are many downstream consequences where other services break, disrupting work, destabilize the environment, and creating security risks often, not to mention the massive frustration. So what do we do instead? Instead, the strategy must look at how value is created, again, matched with the systems that create value. The CIO needs to understand and create the technology strategy that mirrors the organizational strategy, and the CEO needs to understand how the technology can innovate the value proposition in order to delegate properly. So the return here can be incredible, immediately dropping to the bottom line with these new innovations while helping to drive new value proposition and competitive advantage. Here are 3 specific CEO strategies in each of these areas. Number one, and automate. Once you've selected systems, work with your CIO to identify where the work is bottlenecked. Ask the CIO and your other leaders who are subject matter experts for their systems for possible automations or ideas to break the bottleneck. Then the CIO can implement the fewest number of integrations necessary. With a few powerful integrations, you have a more resilient system and greater efficiency. And guess what? More margin and happier staff. We're seeing a theme here. Number two, innovate. Create a business innovation team that includes the CIO. Identify AI features of your systems that you have in place already, new systems with better AI and tools that could enhance your value proposition. Create a list to test. And here you are expanding your view. You're looking for a return of investment of 10 times the value or a tenth of the cost in order to innovate your value proposition. Clients of ours have found that AI and project analytics, for example, can improve project delivery significantly, and one of our clients calls it their secret competitive advantage. Number three, architect and make sure your CIO has change management and a plan that is proven to work. The key here is that the information technology architecture must support the productivity of staff, provide stability without disruption, and protect with maturity of security. This includes all the basic stuff like network switches, workstations, cloud, etc. But most importantly, ensure that they have a plan for managing change for your key activities and key applications to ensure everyone is on the same version at the same time to avoid disruption in work. The CIO and the change plan need to take into account the key workflow activities so that they don't blindly change something that's going to disrupt your workflow. All right, CEOs, by implementing key automations and AI with your CIO, you can see 20% or higher productivity improvement. With innovation, you can gain more customers at better margins, driving up revenues 10% or more. When you architect change in the infrastructure to minimize disruption, your team has several points of greater throughput. Putting it all together. So as you can see, all you need to do as CEO is sequence the workflow, work with your CIO to streamline systems, standardize tools, and strategize to scale. With these four strategies, you can add 10% revenue throughput with existing staff within 3 to 6 months. For a full copy of this strategy and thesis, click the link below the video description and get to /Blue's website to send me an email through the form provided.